Welcome back, class 10, your civics class. The Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha is the second chamber or second house of Indian Parliament. Unlike the Lok Sabha, which can be dissolved by the President before its terms expires, Rajya Sabha is a permanent body that is not subject to dissolution. Question is often asked, which is a permanent body? Why? The Rajya Sabha is the permanent body. Why? Because it cannot be dissolved. So what is the composition of the Rajya Sabha? The Rajya Sabha consists of not more than 250 members. Maximum members will be 250. The members fall into two categories: nominated and elected. Two categories of members are there: nominated and elected. The nominated members are 12 in number. There are 12 nominated members. They are nominated by the President from the various fields as literature, science, arts, social service. So 12 nominated members. The President nominates 12 members from various fields of art, science, social science, literature. The principle of nomination enabled distinguished persons to have a place in the upper chamber. That means once these members are nominated, they can attend the Rajya Sabha, and since they are distinguished, it's a special privilege which is offered to them. For example, actress Rekha is there, then RBI Governor Bimal Jalan is there, Sachin Tendulkar is they are all, Hema Malini ji is there. So they are all the members of the Rajya Sabha, and they have been nominated by the President. Allocation of seats. The remainder are representatives of states and union territories. The allocation of seats among the states is not equal, as this was considered undemocratic. So the rest of the seats are allocated to the representatives of the states and union territories, and their number varies. Instead, seats have been allocated to the states and the union territories based on the population. More the population, more the number of seats. Thus, Uttar Pradesh is represented in the Rajya Sabha by 31 members. Punjab sends only 7. Goa, Manipur, Meghalaya and Mizoram have 1 each. The union territories send 4 members. Delhi 3 and Pondicherry 1. So why I have told you this? Because the allocation of seats is directly proportionate to the population of that particular state. More the population, more representatives. Less the population, less representatives. The manner of election. Representatives of states in the Rajya Sabha are elected by the elected members of the Legislative Assembly of each state. So the representatives of states in the Rajya Sabha are elected by the elected members of the Legislative Assembly of each state. This is done in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. Okay. How is it done? It is done in accordance with the system of proportional representation by a by the means of single transferable vote. The representatives of union territories shall be chosen in such manner as Parliament may prescribe. So the union territories, the representatives of union territories will be chosen in such a way as the Parliament prescribes. What is the effective strength of the Rajya Sabha? The Rajya Sabha at present consists of 245 members, whom 12 are nominated by the President. What is the qualification for membership? In order to be chosen as a member of the Rajya Sabha, a person must be a citizen of India. Number 2, must be not less than 30 years of age. Number 3, must possess such additional qualification as may be prescribed by law from time to time. The Representation of the People's Act requires that the Rajya Sabha candidates should ordinarily be residents of the state or the union territory from where they are seeking election. That means the members or candidates should have their residential addresses of that particular state or union territory from where they are representing. This requirement may also be done away with April 2003. Okay. What is a disqualification for the membership? Disqualification for the memberships are holding an office of profit under the government of India or state except such offices as have been exempted by the law enacted by 2006. If the members hold an office of profit under the government of India, barring a few exceptions, number 2, being of unsound mind, if the member is mad, being an undischarged insolvent, lot of debt is there which he cannot repay, being an alien from a different country, being disqualified under the law of parliament. So these are the reasons why a member of the Rajya Sabha can be disqualified. Term of the office. The Rajya Sabha cannot be dissolved by the President of India. If a permanent body, it is a permanent body. 1/3 of its members retire at the end of every second year, which means the members of the Rajya Sabha have a term of 6 years. Who is the presiding officer? Often it is asked. The Vice President of India is the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. But the Vice President is not a member of the either house of the Parliament. Just a minute. Yes. But the Vice President is not a member of the either house of the Parliament. In the Rajya Sabha, he has no right to vote except to break a tie, if there is a tie. When the Vice President acts as the President of the India, he does not perform his duty as the office of Chairman. Generally, Vice President of India is the ex officio Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. He is not a member of the Rajya Sabha or the Lok Sabha. He does not generally vote except to break a tie. And when the Vice President is acting as the President, he does not act as the Chairperson of the Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha elects a Deputy Chairman from amongst its own members. The Deputy Chairman presides at the sittings of the House in the absence of the Chairman or during the period when the Vice President is discharging the functions of the President. Quorum. 1/10 of the total number of the members of the Rajya Sabha constitutes the quorum. If at any time during the meeting there is no quorum, the presiding officer has to adjourn the House or suspend the meeting until there is a quorum. Okay. Salaries and allowances. They draw a salary and they are also are entitled to an allowance, per day allowance. The constituency and office allowances are exactly as the same as the members of the Lok Sabha. Now, powers and functions of the Union Parliament. Parliament today is not a law-making body alone. It is a multifunctional institution performing a variety of functions. So the Parliament is not only a law-making body, it is a multifunctional institution doing a variety of functions. But it is clear that the intentions of the makers of the Constitution was to make Lok Sabha a predominant chamber, the main chamber or the main house. It was quite in harmony with the true spirit of democracy because the members of the Lok Sabha are elected directly by the people, whereas Rajya Sabha is composed mainly of the representatives of the states. So the makers of the Constitution wanted to make Lok Sabha a very prominent or the main house or the main chamber. Why? Because the members of the Lok Sabha, they are directly elected by the people of India. Whereas Rajya Sabha is the second house. Why? Because it is composed mainly by the representatives of the states. They are not directly elected by the people of India. So it is the second house. So what are the powers and functions? Legislative powers. First is legislative powers. The parliament is competent to make laws on number 1, matters in union list and concurrent list. Number 2, residuary powers. Number 3, matters in the state list. First, matters in the union list and concurrent list. The parliament has exclusive power to make laws with the respect to matters mentioned in the union list. So the parliament can make laws, exclusive power it has got to make laws in respect of the matters mentioned in the union list. Both the parliament and the state legislature have the right to make laws on subject mentioned on the concurrent list. In the case of conflict between the central and the state law, the law made by the parliament should prevail. Residuary power. Parliament possesses residuary power. It means that it can make laws with respect to all those matters which are not mentioned in either union list, state list or concurrent list. So whatever matters are left over which are not mentioned in these three lists, the parliament possesses the power to make laws. Number 3, matters in the state list. The parliament can legislate even on subjects included in the state list during the proclamation of an emergency and in the following cases. So the parliament can legislate even on subjects included in the state list. Subjects which are included in the state list, the state government will make laws. But during the case of emergency, it can make laws on subjects which are included in the state list, or in the cases when the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution by 2/3 majority that a subject in the state list has assumed national importance. When a subject in the state list has assumed a national importance and 2/3 of majority of the Rajya Sabha passes for it. Number 2, when one or more states desire that the parliament should legislate on a subject given in the state list. So when the state desires, one or more state desires that although a particular subject is under the state list, but states want that the parliament should legislate on a given on a subject under the state list. The parliament should make law, then the parliament makes the law. Then comes ordinance. Ordinance, what are ordinance? The question often comes. The president may promulgate an ordinance at the time when the parliament is not in session. An ordinance can be promulgated by the president, that means declared by the president, issued by the president when the parliament is not in session. All ordinance must be laid before both the houses for their approval. Ordinances means stop to operate at the expiration of 6 weeks from the reassembly of the parliament unless they have been approved by the houses. These are really technical words you have to remember. When can an ordinance be issued? A president can issue an ordinance when the parliament is not in session. The ordinance must be approved within 6 weeks after the parliament is in session. If it is approved, it is okay. If it is not approved within 6 weeks of opening of the parliament, the ordinance ceases to operate, stops to operate. Now, under the legislative power, it comes control over national finance. So, control over national treasury is a proof that Lok Sabha's superiority. A money bill can only be introduced in the Lok Sabha. It can then be transmitted to the Rajya Sabha for recommendation. The Rajya Sabha must return the bill to the Lok Sabha within a period of 14 days with its recommendations. The Lok Sabha is free to accept or reject the recommendations made by the Rajya Sabha in money matters. money bill is only introduced in the Lok Sabha. Very, very important. They can send it to the Rajya Sabha. They will send it to the Rajya Sabha for recommendation. Rajya Sabha might return it with the recommendations. The Lok Sabha can accept the recommendations, cannot accept, might not accept the recommendations. As regards financial powers of the Union Parliament, some mentions might be done. The budget. The Parliament passes the Union Budget, which contains the estimates of receipts and expenditures of the Government of India in respect of a financial year. The budget is used to be represented in two parts, the railway and the general budget. Now it has been merged together. Estimates of expenditure in the general budgets are shown in two parts: expenditure charge on the consolidated funds of India and the sum required to meet the other expenditures of the government. The expenditure charge on the consolidated fund of India includes salaries and allowances of the President, Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Chairman, Deputy Chairman, judges of the Supreme Court, High Court, etc. Their salaries comes from the consolidated fund of India. This expenditure does not require annual vote of Parliament, but either house of the Parliament has the liberty to discuss on the estimates. Number 2 is supplementary grants. If the amount authorized for the current financial year is found insufficient, the government may make a fresh demand known as supplementary grants. Vote on account. If the budget is not passed before the beginning of the financial year, that is the 1st of April, there would be no money for the executive to spend. So therefore, a device known as vote on account authorizes the executive to draw the funds from the consolidated funds until the budget is passed by the Parliament. This is known as vote on account. And number 4, MPs, ministers and judges of the Supreme Court and High Court receives such salaries and allowances as may be determined by the Parliament from time to time. So these are the points which proves that how the Parliament, especially the Lok Sabha, controls the national finance. First the budget, then supplementary grants, then comes vote on accounts, and then how the salaries and allowances of MPs, ministers and judges of the Supreme Court and High Court can be altered or determined by the Parliament from time to time. So today we have learnt about the Rajya Sabha, its composition, manner of election, qualifications of members, and under the powers and functions of the Union Parliament, we have started off with legislative powers. Under that, we have learned how the Parliament is competent to make laws under Union list, concurrent list. What do you mean by residuary powers? Matters in the state list. What do you mean by ordinance? And how the Lok Sabha control the national finance. I hope you have understood the class today. The next class will start off with control over the executive or administrative affairs of the Union Parliament. That is all for today. Thank you.